Monolith of Phobos.
Hey,
Howdy.
we're back.
You know what the name of the album is referencing, by the way?
I have no idea.
There's a monolith on the Phobos moon of Mars.
What?
Yeah. It's like a giant stone. They think it's an impact ejecta. But it's this giant, like, building-sized stone. Maybe it's building-sized. I could actually be getting that incorrect, but I just looked this up the other day, and it's this monolith on Mars.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's actually crazy. Because I was going to ask you, do you think that's like some kind of reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey? Because there's that, that monolith on it.
Yeah. I'm sure that's it might have been retroactively thought of, but I'm sure there's some amount of thought of that in there.
Huh.
I think it's just another, like, it's a weird occurrence. Like, it's a weird thing going on. Just like most of the tracks on the record just kind of reference a lot of weird shit that we tend to not really talk about, I guess. Like, if you really get to the core of all the songs on the record, like, a lot of them are stories about weird shit in society. Like, you could bubbles burst even, like, you could kind of get into the territory of what was going on with Michael Jackson there, and like even like that ties its way back into Mr. Right, which is like clearly about a just fucking pedophile.
Yeah, just absolute creep.
Yeah, I think it's just like the title just is high strangeness in society sort of thing.
But how does that tie into like the monolith on Phobos?
Because it's just, I don't know, just the strangeness. That's my take on it. Like, that's what I think it is. It's
okay,
just
yeah.
a title of weirdities, things we don't necessarily talk about a lot.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I was also thinking the space angle because, I mean, well, obviously it's a direct, like, space reference. But
Yeah.
In the title track there, he's narrating the character of Buzz, which can only be presumed to be Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Because who the fuck else is named Buzz?
Yeah. Well, and again, if you look at the lyrics, like, it kind of does allude to, like, I think they are like 100% talking about that monolith, but using Buzz as like the sort of narrator of events there.
Yeah, just like the whatever ambiguous character that is traveling through space or like on some foreign planet or body in space.
Yeah, and that kind of gets into maybe the foreign body is just this whole thing we're living in here. It's the traveler going through all the strangeness of society.
Because in like all the lyrics of that are just kind of talking about how staring into the monolith is prompting this weird, introspective, uneasy thought.
Yeah. And again, a lot of the topics are uneasy sort of conversations. Like, like the OxyContin girl, like that. We don't need to even break apart what that's about. Like, that's very... Yeah.
It's just about, like, the weirdness and kind of screwy, fucked up nature of things right now. And...
weirdness of people, too. Like,
weirdness
just
of people,
the weird types of people you meet in society.
Yeah. I really like that because they do a good job. I don't think a lot of bands nowadays, at least that I'm aware of, do that kind of character piece, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that they clearly got from their predecessors, like early Beatles, early Pink Floyd, like songs like Arnold Lane. It's like there's stuff like that was a lot more present in that kind of sunshine pop, psych pop in the 60s. But that really faded out of fashion throughout the next couple decades, I think. And it's cool to see that done nowadays where it's just they're talking about a character and it's like it's a cool way to do a song.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know, they're just really good at it. They're really good at it.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's I think that's one of my favorite parts about them as a band is just the storied nature of it. Mm-hmm. And also I don't know, like the goofy nature of the lyrics as well, just because the two individuals involved in this are just like weird people.
They're tremendously goofy.
Tremendously goofy. And that comes across in the lyrics. And I think it kind of like strips down the barriers a little bit of the entry to listen to this music as well, because it's not as like get off my lawn kind of shit. It's more just like a fucking this goofiness out in front of us. It's a lot less bitter.
Yeah, it's not bitter. It doesn't have that anger attached to it. Like a lot of that kind of art that seeks to make social commentary on the screwed up nature of things, or even just the screwed up course of our world, often has that kind of anger. And I think also, going back to reference Pink Floyd, like that's a clear thing there. It's like Roger Waters had a lot of anger.
Oh yeah, and that
still does.
Yeah, it comes through. It comes through.
And it's good. Like, it works. It worked for him. It's just oftentimes that is done where it's unbalanced, or at least not complemented by the virtuosic musicianship of a band like Pink Floyd.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, that we can talk about the lyrical content and the joyfulness as well, but the fact is these are two incredibly talented musicians that could, of course, it's going to be just virtuistic. It's incredibly well written. Like, all the songs, even like just instrumentally, they're all astonishing.
Yeah,
I remember when I first heard, this is kind of stepping ahead, but we don't have to actually go into South of Reality, but when I first heard Blood and Rockets, I remember thinking, like, holy shit, like, they have that sound that immediately like sets them apart from a lot of other like contemporary bands in their lane. But a definite first thought when hearing that song was the joyfulness, while talking about like a kind of like, that song is pretty jokey and fun, but it's still like kind of dark. But the whole song never really feels that dark, even in like the back half where it gets into that like super dreary to the moon part. Like, it's not as it's just not as depressing, like as it could be, I guess. And I'm very impressed by their ability to not be to have it not be depressing.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing too, I think, on their latest album, because the whole concept could so easily, like much more easily than not, be executed in a way that is just super depressing and dreary. But they don't. And I think that's something that they've always done really well in terms of addressing the themes and topics that they write songs about. But something also that has just improved a lot over time. Because improved is perhaps the wrong word to use there, but just, I guess, become more refined. Because it's not like on Monolith of Phobos that they were doing things in a depressing way.
No.
A lot of the topics are depressing, especially, like you mentioned, OxyContin Girl.
Yeah, that song is dark.
It's extremely dark, yeah. And like a lot of other artists would execute that in a way that's just horribly depressing, because that's just the fact of what the topic is.
Yeah.
But they managed to ride a line of kind of announcing that, but not basking in it, which is, I think, what the inclination would be for a lot of people that go to write a song about that.
Yeah, I think Les has a big hand to play in that. I think just his bass playing alone does a lot for the general timbre of the song and making it feel a lot more light. He does a lot of like bouncy techniques with the bass, which naturally gives it this sort of like, this kind of like head bobbing feel to it, which is honestly something you don't see a lot of in this lane of music, which is definitely something that sets them apart as well. It's just it's Les Claypool, of course it sets them apart. Like, and I mean the whole thing too. Like, I remember when you first told me about this band back in 2019, a few months before we saw them live at Desert Days. I was just enamored by the fact that is a project out there, like that. What, like these two guys, really? Yeah, it's a really weird one. Yeah, it's like, of course, like,
it seems like the most unlikely, but also the most like, of course that's a thing. Like, of course these two have joined forces, but it's just so wild. And it's it's I don't know what to say about it. Claypool Lennon Delirium is just extremely unique in so many ways. Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the new album right away, or do you want to kind of talk about?
Yeah, we could
Work
probably
the way
launch
through
into
the-
it because they're going to be referencing all albums, right?
Yeah. It's gonna
I
be
feel
hard.
like you're probably not going to you're not going to expect my review of this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can I at least first guess what some of your favorite songs would be on this?
Yeah, try and guess.
I think, okay, I might be projecting because these are my favorite songs.
That's funny. That's funny.
But I think our tastes line up in a way that it might also be the same for you. Number 1, Melody of Entropy.
Interesting. Okay.
It's just so fucking good. And then I'm not sure in what order after that, but Heart of Chrome
Yeah.
and Meat Machines.
Yeah, those are probably my top 3. I would probably say Heart of Chrome is my favorite.
Okay.
I do have a note on Melody of Entropy that was from my first listen, and I held that opinion on listens 2 and 3. It is a solid track. I do kind of expect more from these two. And the way the song unfolds in the back half specifically, I think for these two is rather uninspired.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought Heart of Chrome was the best track by a mile.
Wow.
Like, not even close.
Damn.
A lot. So, in general, it's really good how we actually started this podcast, because this gives great background for, in general, why I would feel this way of this record. I feel like they abandoned a little bit of what made them what they are. There's something about tackling an entire concept album for these two that I don't think that's what I wanted. I think I wanted them to continue doing these tracks that felt segregated, but ultimately are a part of this like larger social commentary, rather than it just be this through line through the whole record.
Yeah.
Because what I love about this band is the fact that we will go from a song talking about mercury poisoning in fish to then talking about morons in society. Like, they're tied. Like, obviously there's some through lines there that you can follow, but it's
more the aesthetic of the band is more painting a mosaic of the absurdity of our life.
Yes, exactly. And that's something that I didn't really feel in this record, because they're obviously going for a concept about AI and its consumption of just everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is also opinion I held through listens 2 and 3. I rated some tracks higher as I listened to it more. Lennon's songs to me this time did stand out a lot more. I wasn't as thrilled with Claypool's songs this time around, or what felt like the Claypool-led songs.
Yeah, that was a note that I was also thinking on for a while, was that on both of their previous albums, it felt a lot more, I don't know, they're just each kind of throwing stuff at it.
Yep.
But then on this one, you can really tell which ones are written by each person.
Yeah.
And I like that. I mean, I like it both ways, like on where it was more collaborative. I mean, obviously it's still super collaborative, but I guess just where it's more directed by one person or the combined effort.
Yeah. And it's hard to say how they actually wrote these songs without talking them, but it certainly does feel, I can't remember the name. I just have it as an abbreviation, T&H.
T&H.
Hold on. Let me just pull up the album here, because I'm god awful at album song titles.
Yeah, for reference, the whole album, this is the Claypool Lennon Delirium's latest album, The Great Parrot-Ox and the Golden Egg of Empathy.
Yes. Through the Horizon, the final track on side 1. I really liked it. I have a note here that says super Mort Garson-y part in this song, and I really liked it. I was like, that's Mort Garson. That's sick.
Yeah, totally. I didn't think about that.
But overall, Lennon's songs felt a lot more just cohesive with the concept. Like, if they were gonna go through with it, part of me wonders if they should have just given more of the leeway to Lennon and like sort of let him guide the whole thing, because not that Claypool's songs took me out of it, but I definitely didn't enjoy them as much. And there was multiple times in the what felt like more primacy songs ultimately that I was hoping to get to the next track.
And
And
interesting.
I like Primus. Like there's a lot of Primus records that I love listening to, but there's just something about the structure of the album and I guess maybe the song listing as well. There's just moments where it's like, okay, yeah, this is a Primus song. I want to move on. And there are some good moments in there too. Like I did really like Trollbait. That one is fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like in that one how they establish the theme, like the whole, I guess the chorus, that like Trollbait, and it's got that very kind of, it's rigid and bouncy at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's very staccato. Mm-hmm. It has like, I was talking with Avery about this recently actually, and you and I have talked about it, not in reference to Claypool, but there's a very specific kind of progressive rock that has just this particular nerdiness to it.
Yeah.
Where it's like almost like a World of Warcraft kind of nerdiness. It's like that style of thing in music. And I think Trollbait executes that really well. We've talked about it before, I don't think on a podcast, but with Nolan Potter, like Preeminent Minds.
Yeah.
Has that in a lot of ways. Elf Curse.
Yeah, it's very... I mean, honestly, all of Nightmare Forever is very D&D coded. It's very... it feels like a D&D record.
Yeah, and like that's just such a hyper-specific kind of weird prog. Yeah. That that Claypool Lennon Delirium really tapped into for elements of this record, and I fucking love that.
Yes. Yeah, and like that's to say I didn't hate the songs. Like I didn't oh my god, song titles again, but there's the other one. Let's pull it up here. The Wake Up Call. Like I liked the concept of the song, and I really liked a lot of the lyrics. I thought it was an interesting song that I feel like a lot of people wouldn't have gone for in this kind of record. Like where it's like I don't know. It's just the way they write it. I really enjoyed it. That being said, I'm still a little bit disappointed with the record. It's hard because leading up to this, I've gotten into a huge Claypool phase.
Same, yeah.
And it's reminded me just how good South of Reality is. And I think that's really what I'm struggling is. Because of how much I revere South of Reality, and I think it's still their best record, it's really hard for me to put this record up against this one. And a great example is like Maddie was like, I really love this record, like this record's awesome, because she listened to it with me on the first go around. I think in isolation I would have liked this record a lot more, but because I've been listening to so much Claypool, I'm like comparing it to their whole discography. Yeah, inevitably. And it's missing parts of Claypool that I really love of South of Reality. And part of it also is pacing. I do feel like the pacing was a little bit weird in this record.
I think that can probably be attributed in large part to what you were saying before, how this band has built a lot of their aesthetic on that kind of mosaic picture of just weirdness in different but still overarchingly connected themes and topics. And it's almost strange for them to endeavor for a concept album. I love it. I mean, I think it's my favorite right now, at least. This new one, even against the other two, which like it's I don't know, it's just such a high bar because they're such a ridiculously amazing group. But yeah, I guess that's all I want to say. Is I think that's probably can be attributed to that. Yeah,
replayability is a big one for me. And I've been thinking like more and more of that just in general, like when I've been listening to music. Like Nolan Potter is always a funny one in here because there's almost this like non-replayability to them, mostly just because of the pedestal we've put that band on.
Yeah, same.
But the replayability of this record isn't there for me. Like there's tracks that I can absolutely like, I would play 100% on their own.
Yeah.
But one thing I really like about Claypool is that in any of their previous records, I could just put on a song and play the rest of the record, and it didn't have to be from the beginning, and it didn't feel like I was missing a chunk of it. And I tried that with this record, and it didn't feel right. Like, there is this feeling that I have to, and like, again, no shit, it's a concept album. Like, I have to be going from the beginning,
Right.
but that's not what I want from this band. And like, there's other bands that I will typically look at when I'm looking for a concept record. I don't know. I think it's just, for me, South of Reality is a really hard bar to top because of the pacing. It's like, it's one of my favorite paced records. It's so good.
You mean mostly in terms of track listing?
Even songs, like song to song.
Oh, yeah.
Just general pacing from the record and the tempo and emotional ride they take you on. And, you know, actually even thinking about this more, I think that, like, a lot of the issues I have with the pacing is, unfortunately, with the length of songs. Like, there are just a lot of songs that I think drag on a little bit too long without warranting it. Easily Charmed by Fools is a great example of a song that could feel like it drags. But the type of layers they bring in and the specific orchestration of the layers that they bring in that back half jam, when the bass is just doing the walk with like dun 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 dun, like it's way more like attention grabbing. Like I'm way more enticed to want to like listen to the layers, whereas on this record I just felt like the layering was a little bit flat. In those larger parts, and I think that's why Melody of Entropy to me doesn't hit as hard as it might, or as hard as it should, I guess, quote unquote, or like it feel like it should, because of the layering and just the disinterest in it, compared, or like even something like Boriska, where like they don't actually even change the structure of the song at all, or the chords or anything, but the way they do that, like. Like, it's just the way they will extend a jam on South of Reality feels way more, just attention grabbing. I think that's the right word to use. And it's funny because I don't think music necessarily needs to be like attention grabbing, but in those longer sections, it does to a degree. And I didn't feel that. And that's why I think Heart of Chrome stood out so much, is because that one specifically goes through a good amount of change and keeps it interesting.
Yeah. The whole notion of attention grabbing, too, is... I think it just plays a different role within progressive music than it does in a lot of other kinds of music.
Yes, yeah.
And, again, just with the background that each Sean Lennon and Les Claypool have, like, there's so much musical maturity there. Like, they've already done so many albums on their own, each of them, and like with different projects, that knowing when and how to employ that kind of technique is just perhaps could be seen as being more deliberate in a project like this, where it's the aim is for it to be more progressive. So it's like the instances that they do construct something to be more attention grabbing is... it stands out. You know, it's a key moment in the song.
Yep.
And they're not doing it for the sake of being attention grabbing, because it's not like they're not trying to get on the radio with it, you know? But it just, it's more a matter of keeping the flow of the song and keeping that pacing good to like keep you on the ride during a lengthy song, something that's like 6+ minutes. I don't know. I'm kind of hung up on the Melody of Entropy thing.
I actually knew you'd react that way to that note too,
because it's so good. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I think, as you're talking now, like I think a lot of it in terms of the layering, and this is also a note that I had for this latest album, is particularly the synth work and the overall sound design. I think is stepped up a huge notch. I feel like they got new synths.
Yeah, I did have comments about that as well. Like the synth work is incredible. The synth solos have stepped up.
Yeah.
Like sound design was great on this record. That was not an issue at all. Like,
but it seems perhaps because I didn't think about the layering thing, especially in Melody of Entropy, until you just mentioned it. Because to me, that's just like it's a perfect song. It's so perfect. But I think a lot of it comes down to the sound design and the synths, and there's a lot of those big filter sweeps and the swells of the different instruments and the way it's just the mixing and the production, and especially in that back half where it's kind of riding along this just oozing vocal melody where it kind of has that refrain type of refrain isn't the right word because they're not repeating any lines, but in the way where in Eclipse on Dark Side of the Moon, it's the same format for the instrumental and it's the same format for the vocals, but it's this building like different kind of examples lyrically that he's just going through the whole song with. I think Melody of Entropy and Eclipse share a common thread in my mind for that reason. And as Melody of Entropy plays through and evolves, especially into that back half of the song, there's a lot more focus on those swells of the synths. And again, like I don't know if they got new gear, whatever it is, but it just sounds so incredible that I think I didn't really, I wasn't really aware of perhaps the lack of or just different method of layering than they've done in the past for sections that are similar to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the synth work is crazy throughout, and that's like one of my favorite examples. But also the intro of Meat Machines, the synths on that is just it's like that brassy kind of thing. That's I fucking love that.
Yeah, synth work. Yeah, again, sound design and synth work were incredible on this record. There was never anything that I thought negative about the synths. It mostly does just come from I don't know. I guess just I expected more, and that's really all it is. Like I expected more out of. I think safe song structures is probably a good thing to bring in here. I just felt like a lot of structures were safe too. Like there wasn't many chances they took. I actually did have a note on that, even though like I do really like all of Lennon's songs. I did write. They all feel much more rooted in traditional song structure. Much more rooted in traditional song structure.
I would agree with that.
Lennon has always leaned that way in the band, but this time around it really feels like it's a bit more poppy. And that might have been intentional, to be honest. I don't know. I am excited to like try and find some interviews around the recording of this record and trying to get more insight into like what they were thinking during the writing and recording of this.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Have you seen any of that at all yet?
No, I've avoided so far just because I don't want it to impact how I think of my thoughts right now.
Right.
I do have a couple more notes here from my first listen. I just wanted to go over. Mantra. I liked it. I liked the track. Nothing stood out from it. It was like a track. I'm like, that was a good track, and it moved on.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that one.
I did really like Golden Egg, actually. I actually really liked Willow's vocals.
Yeah, me too.
It was a nice change on the record, and again, for a band who's never had a guest vocalist, it's a really fun thing for them to do.
Yeah, it worked really well. Like it honestly, and it to me, it feels so fitting. Like I
honestly hope they do more work with her because her voice fits perfectly. And again, I don't know what the fuck is going on with like the Smith family and being like in the psych scene, but I want more of it because every song they've been a part of, like that Babe Rainbow song, is actually really good.
I know, I love it.
I don't know. I also have Cliptopia was fun. Just thought it dragged a little bit too long.
That's another one of my favorites, honestly. But I kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
it's it's like. Maybe it just doesn't evolve enough, perhaps. I think there's room for it to evolve. I think every part of the song is extremely strong. I especially like the verses and the way they have that kind of vocoder back.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a cool back and forth.
And like that paired with that kind of slam down with all the percussive instruments, that the bass work is like Les just really sells that song, and that especially in those parts. And I don't mind. I don't feel like it drags personally, I guess, too much, because I think the parts are strong enough that it just works out. But you mentioning that, I see it. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. Yeah, again, and like nothing is scathing in here. A lot of it is just like, I feel like a lot of the songs are just slightly below where I would have expected them. And that's kind of my overall gripe with the record, is like every song, honestly, save Heart of Chrome, at the end of it, I was like, yeah. Like it was a good Claypool Lennon song, but yeah. And Heart of Chrome, I legitimately at the end was like, wow, that was like one of the first things I wrote was Heart of Chrome is the best track by a mile. And I made the first chunk feel a little bit weak in retrospect after hearing Heart of Chrome. Even though I like What a Predicament and Meat Machines and
Wake Up Call,
and even The Simplest Deeds?
Yeah, Simplest of Deeds, yeah.
It just, like, after hearing Heart of Chrome, I almost felt like I looked back at the rest of the record like, what the fuck happened? Why is this song so incredible?
Yeah, they wrote that one last.
Yeah. Funny enough, I actually was thinking, like, I had this weird thought in my head after the first half of the record finished where I thought, I hope that doesn't feel like the closer. It unfortunately does. Does. And that is actually, here's the scathing part. I don't like the closer. I think it's a really, it's I got bored. Like, I just got bored.
Yeah, I think if any song on the album drags, it's that one. I don't mind it, honestly. It feels, I quite like the closer. I think they could have chopped portions of that. I would have put Melody of Entropy as the closer.
Yeah.
But that one feels extremely conclusive and very final. It has that just, that's it. It has that Eclipse kind of feel, you know? And for anything to come after that. That being said, the way that It's a Wrap starts, kind of referencing back the intro, the prologue.
That's the thing. I do think, like, almost conceptually, you could think of Melody of Entropy. Remember when we were tripping that one time and listening to Nolan Potter, and we were like, Music is Dead is just a summation of the record. Like, the first 5 songs are the record, and the last song is just... That's, I feel like, what It's a Wrap is. It's legitimately, it is actually that. It's everything from prologue all the way to Melody of Entropy you could view as the story, and then It's a Wrap is sort of like the epilogue of the story.
Yeah, that's a...
Which in turn, I hate, because like that's what I'm left with leaving the record. And that's like the final feeling that I had, like, listening to this record was, holy shit, that dragged. Like, oh my god, that was a long closer and not a fun one.
Damn.
Yeah, that's
wow.
It's scathing review in that sense.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd feel that strongly about it. Wow.
And it's funny because I don't think they've necessarily been a band that's, like, super strong, I would say, at closers. Like, none of them have been, you know, we're not getting a Denmark Van Gogh type situation out of this band for a closer, but they've been serviceable. This is one that doesn't even feel serviceable to me. It's like, what the fuck? This is a weird choice. Like, this is a really weird choice.
It's hilarious. Well, I mean, that's a funny comparison, though. Or, I mean, maybe not comparison is the right word, but, like, a funny kind of thing to bring up as well, like Denmark, Van Gogh, and Gone. Because you and I have talked about before with that band, with PPC, and particularly with that album, well, both High Visceral parts, that those are albums that pretty much any song in the track listing could be the closer, and you'd be left like, holy shit, at the end of it. Whereas all of Claypool Lennon Delirium songs, like we were talking about before, why it's a bit weird that they do a concept album at all is because so much of their thing is very in a different realm than the realm of concept albums.
Yep.
It's a lot of their songs in their first two records. Like any one of them could have been the closer, but it wouldn't have made that much difference. They're all fantastic songs, but a lot of them don't have that finality to it.
Yep. I would agree. Yes.
Yeah, that's something like Denmark, Van Gogh, and Gone has. And that's not a dig at Claypool Lennon. It's not at all. Like I don't know how to put it. It's just not the aim, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, and that's not what I'm trying to say. I think it's more that like they've had closers that they worked. Like Fleas is a good closer in the context of the album.
Yeah.
But again, anything could have been the closer there, and it would have been good in the context of the album. You can put Amethyst at the Realm, and it's a good closer. You could put the Cricket Chronicles 3 on there, and it's gonna be good. I don't know. I just think particularly if you're going to tackle a concept record, holy fuck, you better nail that ending song specifically. Because again, that is the last thing you're going to think of. Yeah. Especially, I think, in the context of a concept record. Yeah. Because when things are a little bit more fragmented, at least for me, I think I'm more likely to remember a song early in the record. Franzoli. We'll use another PPC comparison. Sure. That record's awesome. Mr. and Mrs. Misanthrope is a decent closer, but because it's not their best closer. Like I think it's actually pretty weak in comparison to all their other closers, and that's okay because there's such strong writing throughout the rest of the record that I'm remembering things earlier like Hot Heat Wow and Captain Gravity Mouse stand out a lot more there. Same. Because you're not thinking about the closer. And it kind of works. Like, it balances itself out in a way. Yeah,
and especially because it's not a concept album. So there's not that pressure for the closer to be the closer.
But let's go back to some old artists and look at concept records. Holy fuck. I always forget the last two. It's Eclipse and then Brain Damage, right?
Other way around.
Other way around. Okay, yeah. I always forget like the sonic content of those two mixed up. But Eclipse is awesome, and that's what you hang on. It's what you hang on. Like at the end of the record, that's what you're thinking about. Like, oh, like everything under the sun. It's such a conclusatory statement for everything that you're left sitting in that. But there is no conclusatory statement from this record on It's a Wrap, and so I'm just sitting there like, what?
Well, I think there is the conclusive thing, but I think it comes so much earlier in the song because It's a Wrap. Is it like it's what 12 minutes or
13
something?
13 or something like that. And that's kind of what I'm saying. The last thing I'm thinking of is that whole middle section that just like, why did you do this there? Like it should have almost inversed the song structure.
I think that because that conclusive final statement of the song of the album to me is the chorus of It's a Wrap, where it's like, how does it go? Should we close it all down? Is it over now? What's the next lines?
They're on the paper there if you want to look at them there.
Should we close it all down? Where is it? Is it over now? Was it all a waste of time? Should we call it a wrap?
Yeah.
I think
it's there. It's there.
That should be the final bit. That should be the last 30 seconds of the record.
Hang on some instrumental after that, and you would have nailed it.
Yeah.
But of course, that they didn't do that, and so I look at the closer as a bit of a failure for myself because of that, just because what I do think of is not that line. I'm ultimately left thinking of everything else.
Yeah. And it's really cool that they have the whole... like spoon feeding, I guess, in a way, where it actually fully lays out the whole paperclip problem, or what's the paperclip maximizing? I forget what the actual title of the thing is,
paperclip manufacturing efficiency or something like that, like whatever it's.
Yeah, it's like there's a proper title for the thought experiment that exists that
they actually write it in the book there too.
Okay.
They have a whole write-up on the paperclip experiment, but
I think that was the final thing in the comic, but I mean it's cool how they do that, where it's what a person describing what it is, and then it seems to me that the way it's done, I don't know if this is what they actually did, but it seems that they put that whole script of a person saying this is what it is, imagine this, and fed it into an AI.
Yeah, I think so.
And then had that give its response, which is pretty much saying the same thing back to it, but just affirming that, yeah, this is what happens with the paperclip problem. This is what happens with the hyper efficiency of machine learning that
and data collection, yeah,
and data collection that is not tempered by human ethics.
Yep.
And that is something like that whole section of It's a Wrap could easily have been done earlier on, like around where Cliptopia and Cliptron's Scuttle are, and then have It's a Wrap be just shorter, you know?
Better idea even. Take the To Pimp a Butterfly approach. Start dripping it in throughout the album rather than having it just be one chunk of spoon-fed information. There's probably a way to do it where you can incorporate call and response a little bit from your prompt versus AI response and sprinkle that through the record and have it tell that story over the course of the record like you're already doing, rather than giving me a spark notes at the end, ultimately.
Yeah.
And that's
really good.
I think there's actually this is a little bit of a symptom of my frustration with media in general, which is the idea of second screening, which is more like, it's more relevant in the context of TV shows, but ultimately is a little bit of what's happening here as well. It's the idea that you write, and again, I'll explain in the context of a show, but it's the idea that you write dialogue to essentially outwardly explain what the characters are trying to do and thinking, to explain to someone who is using two screens at once.
Oh.
You'll notice a huge trend in specifically like these streaming corporations. Like their shows do a lot more second screening now, like the in-house built ones. Filmed and like funded shows. Because they know their fucking client base. Like everyone's on their phone. People are browsing TikTok, whatever it is.
Even as they're watching a show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see.
That's what this feels like. Like this kind of feels like, hey, just in case you weren't listening, this is actually what we were talking about. And that to me is, it makes me feel a little bit, and again, I know this isn't the intent, but it's how it comes across. It makes me feel like I'm like, oh, don't worry, here's the concept of the record in case you don't get it. Like it's a little bit too overt.
Yeah, that's an interesting take, and I honestly completely agree. At the same time, well, actually, before I say further, I gotta ask: did you read the comic here before listening to the album?
Nope.
No. After your first listen?
After the first listen.
Okay. I haven't been counting how many times I've listened to this record, but I just read the comic for the first time as when I walked in here, and honestly, I think I knew it was a concept album because that was just what they announced, is that they were doing a concept album. And I saw their Instagram post and like the whole thing where it's talking about the characters and like this is what it's about kind of thing loosely. But even listening to it as many times as I have so far prior to reading the comic, it didn't feel super connected. And I know a lot of concept albums often do. Like there's, I don't know. I mean, it might not be the best example for what exactly I'm trying to say, but you could hypothetically, someone could listen to The Wall and understand it's a concept album, but not really figure out what exactly the storyline is or what it's about. Again, perhaps that's a bad example because I think The Wall does a really good job of laying out throughout in every song, or at least every other song, the overall storyline.
Yep.
For whatever reason, I can't think of another concept album right now to compare for this exact point. But with this one, The Great Parrot-Ox, I felt like the whole concept wasn't really being talked about until side C, where it gets into Cliptopia and Cliptron's Scuttle and beyond. There's like, it's obvious that it is a concept album up before that, but the main theme being the paperclip problem is not really touched on at all throughout the album until that last little bit. Whereas now, having read the comic, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm not going to spoil the comic for anyone who hasn't read it or whatever, but it gives more context visually, and obviously the way the comic is done is really good. How it's, a lot of the dialogue in it is bits and pieces of the lyrics throughout the album, but there's also more. Similar how with The Wall, again, the movie is all the music, but there's also more to it. There's also dialogue that is just movie dialogue. It's just characters talking, and then it goes back and forth between songs, and it's all part of the story. But yeah, that was one of my issues with this being a concept album. And again, like the whole thing, I guess a lot of this is just kind of weird, or I don't know what word to use, but it's a bit peculiar, the very notion of this band doing a concept album. Again, I'm not trying to dig at it because I fucking love it. Like I said, I think it's my favorite one of theirs at the moment, at least. But it is definitely, I think it's something that's outside of their wheelhouse, and perhaps they knew that. I'm glad they went for it. I think it's great. I hope they do another concept album. I hope they do another album that's not a concept album. All in all, like, everything they do, I think is going to be great. But definitely at the same time, everything we've been talking about, like all the drawbacks, I think a lot of these drawbacks to this album are particular to the fact that it is a concept album.
Yeah, I do think so. I do really think so. And that, like, I also encourage them for attempting a concept album. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit indifferent to the actual concept itself, just because I personally think it's a little bit of a low-hanging fruit nowadays with just the nature of things. Remember that interview with Jack where he talks about like the 7-song like things you can't sing about anymore, where it's like time. I think AI is already there. Like, to be honest, like I've heard enough like already about just and I think part of that is just truthfully in part because of how much personal like dialogue I have with people about AI. Like it's already a completely battered subject, and like I've had so many conversations and the same thing sort of being parroted over and over again that it's like it's just reached a point where I get it. Yeah. I know what's happening. I'm fully aware. I understand the dangers, all those things. I don't need a fucking concept record about it. Like I know how like it's, and I understand like artistic vision and wanting to write and take this concept, and it's something they're obviously passionate about and want to draw attention to. So I'm not going to knock them for that. And again, I encourage them for trying to do a concept record. I think, I just hope they don't do it again. Or if they do, I hope it's a little bit more tied to what they normally do in just like high strangeness. And that's kind of, I view them as like a little bit of a conspiracy band in a way. Like, a lot of their things, like you could almost argue are like borderline fringe conspiracy theories. Like even
Boriska is a great example.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And like Amethyst Realm too. Like it's kind of like, what the fuck? Like, or even honestly, Fly Me to the Moon, like the Jack Parsons thing, like when they delve into his whole like sort of, occultist history, like they're kind of getting into a little bit of conspiracy there, and I think that's just what I want from them, is that like fun mockery of things without it being too serious. And like I will say it doesn't get too serious on the record, which is something that I will give them credit for. I don't know, I think there's just I think they could have easily left a lot of these songs on a record while bringing in themes that are relevant and tied to this without it having to be this like this whole thing is about the paperclip theory. Unfortunately, they have already covered a lot of these topics, like things like attention span in Boomerang Baby, or even is that the one, Drawn to Artificial Light? Like no, that's
Easily Charmed by Fools.
Easily Charmed by Fools. Yeah. but they've kind of touched on similar topics before, so it makes it difficult. But I just think there's a lot of other things they could have pulled in to make this record more unified about the dangers and issues of just technology ethics and not specifically about AI. I think narrowing it into AI is just a little tunnel visioned more than anything.
Yeah, it's super specific, and it's almost something that would be hard to do a whole album about. And again, I think that goes into what I was saying before about how it's like the context, or not the context, but the concept of the whole album feels in the album itself in isolation, like it doesn't really get touched on until the last bit. And part of me is like, yeah, I wish they talked more about that previously. I mean, obviously Heart of Chrome is a very it touches on it in there, I guess.
Yep.
But it feels isolated within the rest of the track listing for the concept that it is. And yeah, I on one hand, I don't think you could do, or either on one side of the coin, I don't think you could really do the whole album always touching on the concept without it just really quickly feeling like you're beating the dead horse.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, I just forgot what I was going to say. I guess, yeah, on the other side of the coin, you got to have the spacing of it. And it's just, it's already a dead horse, like you're saying. Like, it's already a thing that everyone's been talking about. There's not really new takes on it. It's a great concept to do the album about. But yeah, a lot of the songs don't seem to have much reference to the overall concept.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even know if it's a good concept. That's where, like, I'm genuinely question whether it's even a good concept to write an album about. Like, it seems pretty, it just seems too specific. Like, and it's weird to say that because, like, there are some concept records that are very specific, like, but they do a decent job of painting a broader perspectives within a narrowed in topic. Like, I think The Wall is actually a good example there. Like, it's pretty narrowed in on what it's talking about, but it's also painting, like, broad perspectives of the situation of the concept. And yeah, maybe that's where I'm feeling a little bit like left out, or maybe just non-understanding of the concept here is just because it's all the same perspective. Like, every song is sort of all the same perspective, and it's just beating that dead horse where it's like even I don't know, even all the songs I like Meat Machines, What a Predicament, like, honestly, they are all saying the same perspective. Like, it's all just like, holy shit, look at this, we're just slaves to this system. Like, it's kind of all saying the exact same thing. And I don't know, it's just difficult to, when I'm thinking of this record as a concept record, which is probably, again, had I gone into this without thinking it's a concept record, maybe my opinion is completely different of this record. But I went in expecting a concept record, and my bar for that, and the bands that have attempted this and have succeeded at this, unfortunately, have a very high bar to pass, or even hit the sniff test at the end of the day. And to me, at least, the concept side of this doesn't hit the sniff test, where it's just flat in its concept. And you actually mentioned something there as well, where Heart of Chrome is sort of the first song where it actually, like, touches on the concept. That's probably why it's a standout song for me as well, because that's the first song in the record where it's like, oh yeah, okay, there we go, now I understand sort of what's at play here. And and it does bring up an interesting question as well, like in your comment about the comic. Like, is it a good concept record if I have to have an additional piece of media to understand it? Like, The Wall, I don't need it. Like,
the movie doesn't need to exist to accompany the concept and to lay it out, but
it
it's
adds
fantastic. Yeah.
so much to it, and
Yes.
it definitely broadens your understanding of the concept, but you do not need it to understand the concept and grasp the record.
Yeah.
Whereas you and I probably had a very similar reaction to reading this, like, oh, I see. This is where this song, like, it almost feels in a way like I was meant to read the comic as I was listening to the record in a way.
Yeah.
Which is just a really weird approach. And I don't know if that was intentional, if that's just how things played out.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like I shouldn't need to read a comic to understand a concept of a record. And to be honest, that might just be my dumb ass. Like, I just didn't interpret everything going on in the record, but there are two of us that felt that way, so it, at least to me, indicates that the relaying and the storytelling behind the concept didn't hit.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely been a number of albums that I've thought, like, maybe this is a concept album, but then aren't quite certain. I think we talked before once about Club Kuru's latest, Before the World.
Yeah.
And even their other one, Meet Your Maker.
Mm-hmm.
I've had hunches, like, are those both concept albums? But at the same time, like, I can't quite make out whether or not they are or not. There's allusions and intimations within each of those albums that prompt me to think it's probably a concept album. Just some of the lyrics, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I guess in their first one, Meet Your Maker, and By the Window Pane, a lot of the lyrics in that one seem to be telling part of a story, but not a story that is wrapped up within the song.
Yeah.
And then there's themes later on and lyrics later on throughout the album that are like, oh, I think this is all connected, but I can't quite tell what the whole picture is. So I don't know. I mean, maybe if there was a movie or a comic or a book or something accompanying that album, then it would make it a lot more clear to me. Maybe I'm just not paying enough attention to certain aspects of it, but I've listened to that album. I've listened to Meet Your Maker tons of times as well. And it was, I don't know, probably like, if I were to ballpark, maybe like 20 or 30 listens in to that album in full before I even started thinking, oh, I think this is a concept album.
Part of the mystery is the allure, though, at this point, too. Like, part of the allure is the mystery there as well, though.
Yeah.
And, like, here's a good example. Had this just been released without them telling you a concept record, I bet you we'd be sitting here right now like, I'm pretty sure this is a concept record.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, that's a good point. Yeah, we'd be sitting here like, oh, it's gotta be.
It has to be a concept record.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough information to actually paint it as a concept record.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you listen to Dark Side, you listen to The Wall, you listen to
Polygon Wonderland.
Fucking a billion gives records, you know, like Infest the Rat's Nest.
Murder
is like,
the Universe.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see. Like, this is a concept record. They've given us the information to understand that, and yeah, I just think we'd be in that exact same position if we had not been told that. Which again makes, like, again with Club Kuru, like, mystery is part of the allure. But zooming out, that means that there's not enough information to know whether or not it's a concept record. So don't tell me it's a concept record, because then I'm left thinking, what?
Yeah.
How? What do you mean, how?
I mean, this is really interesting because it kind of expands the whole thing further. Because, like, on one hand, we're talking about how if a concept album needs this kind of accompaniment to properly and fully lay out what the concept is, then does that make it a bad concept record? But at the same time, if it's also the case that the mystery being part of the allure is what makes a concept album so great, or is something that can contribute to making a concept album so great, then, like, where is the line? How is any given artist to properly flow, like, in that dot of the yin yang? Where
And I think they just hit the wrong balance ultimately here, because again, like, let me piece together this thought here. It just slipped away. That's tragic.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. It just is really, that is really interesting. Because I don't know, there must be some kind of line. There must be some kind of balance. Because, again, thinking back to Polygon Wonderland, that's something that has always been pretty clear to me as a concept album. I was never told in advance, as far as I can remember at least, that, hey, listen to this. It's a cool concept album. But it's something you pick up along the way. And even after having purchased the vinyl, and there's the whole lyric sheet in there, or just looking at, like, I've never looked up the lyrics deliberately because I know that it's a concept album and because I know it's connected to the larger network, the whole web of conceptual pieces that band has put together. Knowing that part of the allure and part of what gets me so excited and giddy about Polygon Wonderland is the fact that it's mysterious. It's that mystical unknown that surrounds the whole thing. And yeah, that's like, I've never looked up the lyrics for that. I've only tried to piece together from listening to it, or sometimes from like hearing other people talk about it. Whereas other albums I have looked it up. I have gotten a lot deeper. Like, and obviously this album, The Great Parrot-Ox and The Golden Egg of Empathy, it's a long title. I have to look over at the vinyl to like remember it. It's like fucking Petrodragonic Apocalypse, or
I just call it Jeepage because that's what Jeepage.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. Yeah, it is a really interesting point, and I don't know. I guess it probably depends on the concept itself, and the predisposition of any given artist, where that line is, what that line is, when to ride it, and when to stray off momentarily, to be able to relay that there is a concept. This is what the concept is, but this is not all the information.
Yeah, I mean, also, I do think Polygon Wonderland is also another interesting example to bring up because they tell the ending at the beginning in a sort of way. Like, the Crumbling Castle is sort of the ending of the story.
Yeah.
It leads into the ending of the story, which is, they don't lay it out linearly for you. So there is some, investigating and kind of listening, and unfortunately with that band there is a lot of like other listening and supplementary listening you have to do to piece that together, so it's kind of not a perfect comparison to use because we just talked about having supplementary media to understand a concept being I don't know if that means it's a good concept or not.
Yeah.
However, that's very different because they're in like a whole web of a concept that they're trying to lay out, whereas when it's isolated like this, it's just a little bit confusing. I don't know. I think I'm probably already getting to the point where I'm going to talk circles around why I think this concept fell flat. And for me, at least, doesn't hit that mark of a concept album. But ultimately, it is just that question. If they didn't tell us, would we be sitting here wondering if it's a concept record?
Yeah.
And the fact that we have to wonder.
Yeah, is a big part of it. I think if we weren't told in advance it was conceptual, we'd probably be sitting here thinking a lot more positively about it.
I probably would be. I probably, I don't know. It's also hard to say. Because again, at the end of the day, I do still think some of these songs dragged. Like, all of this to say, I still hold those opinions from earlier, which is like song by song. I just think it's writing-wise some of their weaker stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's, I think we've made a lot of good points. We've kind of touched everything on this. Let's move back in time and talk about South of Reality. Your favorite.
Yeah, by far.
Why?
Why?
Why? And how does that... Yeah, why is it your favorite? Why is... I mean, I guess we've already touched a lot on why you prefer it to their latest. But in terms also of it being an evolution from Monolith of Phobos.
Yeah. So I think I got to address a bias I have towards this record right away, which is that I listened to this record 7 times on an acid trip once. So I naturally am going to have a little bit of a bias for this record.
That'll do it.
But I think what that in that trip, I ultimately just discovered why I like it so much, and that's just it was the layering.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in my hot tub. This was like a very distinct trip moment for me. I was like on the come down. It was like, I think 5 a.m. or something like that on a summer day, sitting in the hot tub just to relax my muscles. And I had taken a couple tabs. Like I think I had taken a couple bong rips, like going into the hot tub. Like I was pretty off my gullet here. And I just remember sitting there with my wireless earbuds in and specifically Easily Charmed by Fools. Like the trance that song put me in is nuts. Maybe one of the wildest trances I've ever had on a trip with a song. Like there's always been these songs that send you places.
Oh yeah.
But trance is a very specific type of feeling, and it's that fucking walking bass line that rotates that they do, and the way I mentioned they layer it, it just like you are like fully locked into this like walking feeling.
Yeah. It's a perfect, like we talk a lot about what is psych, like what is psychedelic rock, what is psychedelic music, why is it its own distinct thing, what does it seek to do, and a lot of it is about trying to replicate psychedelia in musical form. It's about trying to translate the experience of the actual drug, or not even drug perhaps, the actual just mystical experience into music. And what you're talking about is an exact execution, a perfect execution of that.
I'm actually going to say something about South of Reality that I've thought of over the past couple of weeks as well. It's the most approachable psychedelic record. I feel like I could show this to a large swath of people. Yes.
I've always thought it's like one of the least approachable.
I think it's approachable because a part of it is the name as well. Like honestly, like you tell people like, yo, Les Claypool from Primus and John Lennon, son of a band. Yeah. Like you tell that to most people and like, excuse me? That's cool.
I just told my coworker about that. He was like, what? Those two?
Yeah, I told my boss about that not too long ago. He was like, that's a weird grouping. Yes, but it's good. It's approachable because it's not aggressively psychedelic. Like,
yeah,
it's got the right amount of tinge to make you feel like you're tripping balls at some points, but it's not the middle of Stubborn Bubble where you're like, where the actual fuck am I right now? Like, I don't even know if I'm on the same plane of consciousness anymore. There's those two categories of psych.
Yeah.
Where like PPC tends to also put themselves down the where am I kind of category.
Yeah.
And there's less bands that I think kind of temper that a little bit. I love both completely different, but
totally.
South of Reality to me really hits that mark of, wow, it's really weird and there's some weird ass music. I think a good memory to pull on is when we were in the tent with Bo.
Yes, I knew you were going to mention that.
But it's only when Toady Man's Hour came on where he was like, what are we listening to?
Yeah.
And that is the most aggressively, like, you could say that's so the weirdest song in their discography.
Oh, yeah.
It was only when that song came on.
Yeah.
Only when that song came on where someone who never listens to psych rock was like, what the hell are we listening to?
Yeah. I remember, dude, his reaction to that made me feel uncomfortable about the song. Because he wasn't tripping, but you and I were, and we were laying there in the tent, and the music was just blasting. And I opened my eyes at one point, and I saw him just like kind of grimacing, like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what? And like, I started thinking about it. I just really internalized it as the song kept playing, and the whole experience was washing over me. It's like, yeah, what? This is really the music that I choose to listen to? This is weird. Why do I like this? I really like it, but why do I like this? It's so weird. It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Why is that good?
So that song does fly in the face of what I just said, but the point still stands about the rest of the records. I honestly could see a lot of South of Reality like being attached to Beatles records. Like, it's obviously very contemporary in its like sound design, but structurally a lot of them to me feel like they could be paired with old Beatles songs or like late era Beatles.
Yeah,
like Fleas is a great example. That actually sounds like it could be on Abbey Road. Like the whole bass line, like fleas on the back of a dog. It's very McCartney. It's very like playful the way they do it. And that's something that that I really like about that record in general is the playfulness, and I think it has some of the most interesting guitar solos in Psych I've heard.
Yeah.
Which is another reason I really like it, and it stands out to me in their discography, is the solo work. What you doing over there?
I'm just checking, make sure we're still
recording.
Okay.
We're good. Yeah.
I was worried that it like
Stopped.
storage got full or something. My laptop's running low on storage. So
I should have hooked up one of my drives to it. But yeah, I don't know. The solo work is incredible. I also just like lyrically, the content is my favorite in their discography.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
It's fun. Like every single song subject is fun, and like I would say Monolith of Phobos errs more on the side of creepy, whereas South of Reality leans more towards absurd, which the absurdity is fun.
Yeah.
And it's all packaged together in a very fun South of Reality. Like it's perfect. Like the title, everything. The title track is beautiful. Like beautiful in a weird way, because you would never expect the title track to be about eclipses written that way.
Yeah.
It's such a unique way to write about it. Like it is just a story.
Yeah.
And that is the best part about Claypool, is the stories they imbue into the songs, kind of bring it back to what we were saying at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And their selection of stories in South of Reality is their best, which...
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I think a lot of the aesthetic of the band, like we were talking about, going back from Monolith of Phobos, is based on, it has a foundation of that just weird, creepy, like that was most of the notes that I wrote down. And also I just want to say it's pretty freaking cool and fun that we wrote notes. We've never done that for an episode, but most of what I wrote down, kind of thinking about the preparation for this episode was for Monolith of Phobos, and a lot of it has to do with just the uneasiness and just the discomfort that it puts on the listener. Mm-hmm. And it's something that they retained really well in South of Reality, but also dialed it back a bit and tempered it in a way that makes it more approachable relative to Monolith of Phobos, but it still has that aesthetic. You know, it still has that that ethos, if you will.
Yeah. I would never recommend Monolith of Phobos as a place to start for people with this band. Like the people that I've told this band about, or told about this band to, I've always said South of Reality is like the place to start, because I think it's again, I think it's very approachable, and like it really is. Like it gets weird, sure, but I don't know, like there's something about the fact that it is stories is what makes it so approachable. Because when I tell people about PPC, I'm like, yeah, they're fucking dope. They're this like raucous band that sings about taking drugs. That's really hard for people to like, oh, and they're called psychedelic porn crumpets. It's like, it's the whole thing about like weird band names, and like it's fun. But because it's just this like lighthearted, very reminiscent of Beatles and specifically McCartney writing, I just think it's a great record for someone getting into psych in general. And I think it's true as well because it's one of the first things I found that really spearheaded me into this like specific category of psych rock that I've been after for the past like 5 years. Them and Post Animal and psych and the PPC.
Yeah. That's a good point. Honestly, that's a really good point, because going back, like thinking about getting into psych, that a lot of it started, at least for me, in early to mid 2018.
Yeah.
When I got into Pink Floyd and Tame Impala. But I guess I haven't thought a great deal about the particular spot that South of Reality sits in within my whole getting into psychedelic music, because that really was a huge cornerstone of getting into a more narrow, or at least having a portion of my interest get more narrowed in and focused into like, oh, this is exactly what I like within psych. And that only happened, like about a year to a year and a half after first really jumping into the deeper end. I mean, well, I guess I shouldn't say that because I wouldn't say Tame Impala and Pink Floyd are the deeper end, but getting into it in a deeper way. I suppose I could rephrase that too.
I think Claypool is like they came at a time of finding quote unquote like underground psych bands, because like up until that point we'd been like mostly on the, I hate using these words, but on the mainstream side of things, like MGMT and Mac DeMarco and Tame Impala and like that side of indie that airs more towards like synth dream pop and like elements of psych come in.
Yeah.
Whereas like it's also interesting because I knew of PPC, like, because I remember hearing them late in 2018, but I feel like it was only when, ironically enough, Autoplay started putting some of these bands into my ear. Like, I remember the first time I heard Blood and Rockets, I'm pretty sure I was probably smoking in my parents' garage, and like it came on after a Giz song. It was like, holy shit, what the hell was that? Yeah, I don't know. They just have a very like earwormy kind of sound to them.
Yeah, and it's, again, like, talk about attention grabbing, earworm. Like, it's well tempered, it's well used. It's so well done. It's so well executed that knowing that they are going for a more psych prog thing, but still employing that kind of method of that earworm thing. And a lot of that comes down to the heavy, heavy influence of the Beatles that is on the both of them, clearly. And also the sound design, which we talked a lot about the sound design of their latest album, but it's always been freaking good.
Yes.
And that was something that, as I was listening through these 3 albums a lot more in the past couple weeks, that was something that I found was a recurring thing, that like I'd listen to Monolith of Phobos and be like, holy shit, the guitar tones of these solos, like, it's just so goddamn good. Like, it's so well shaped, I guess. And then I'd listen to stuff on South of Reality and be like, okay, holy shit, they really leveled it up here. And then same thought would apply into their latest. But then I'd go back to Monolith of Phobos and be like, no, it didn't evolve. It was always perfect.
It's always been really good. It's just different lanes of sound design. Because again, it's like very creepy. Every layer in Monolith of Phobos is very creepy. Like, I even think of Boomerang Baby. Like, after every little or I think it's about 2/5 of the way through the song, after every couple stanzas of lyrics, there's this really weird, like, high-pitched guitar sound that goes on. It's like, and it's so high-pitched and eerie. It's perfect. Like, it's really perfect to sell home just the idea of the song. And it also does this weird slide thing that makes it sound like a boomerang. But yeah, I think it's always just been different lanes of sound design to like suit whatever feeling that the overall record is capturing. Like, honestly, you could say that the sound design in South of Reality is pretty absurd most of the time. Like, it's almost over the top, like absurdly over the top in places.
Yeah. Well, and that's a really good point too, and especially with synths. To me, some of the most notable bits of synth or sound design in terms of solos, 'cause solos are typically where the sound design of a particular instrument stands out the most. The synth patch used on the synth solo of I think it's of South of Reality, where it has that really it's doing that arpeggio, but it also, the actual sound itself has a really heavy-handed LFO on the frequency, so it's like wow 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 wow.
Yeah, the peaks are incredible amidst like the dips and the resonance as well. It's crazy.
And it suits the album so well. It really gives the essence of what is all going on there. And then you compare that to one of the other notes I made was the synth sound in Mr. Right. Oh my god, that's like, it's like, it's just scratches at your brain from behind a glass pane.
Yeah.
Like, it's so like, and it matches the lyrics in it, because it's listening to that song, like, the lyrics are very present. The vocals aren't distorted, really. They're not heavily layered in a way that obscures or obfuscates the actual delivery of the words he's saying. And it's so direct and like put forth as you listen to it, and it just makes you so queasy and uncomfortable because it's such a horribly gross story and image that song is laying out lyrically, and it's so well matched by the synth sound. It just has that like kind of I don't know. It's just weird. It's just uneasy.
Yeah, they really nail it. Honestly, Oxycontin Girl is another one that stands out for solo sound and just sound design in general. Like the progression of that song is crazy too.
Mm-hmm.
But the guitar tone, like right from the oh no, I guess it's the bass there that comes at the beginning. But it's more of like a choked bass. Ding 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 ding. It's very like choked and like almost like it's grasping like for space in a way. It's like really it's a really like just intelligent sound design. No, that's really good at sound design. I think you nailed it there. They've always been good at it. They just have always been good at narrowing it into whatever they're trying to achieve with the feeling of the record.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Trying to touch back on what makes South of Reality stand out, given everything I've just said about Monolith of Phobos. I just think I like the songs more. Like Amethyst Realm is a beautifully progressive track. That is like, I don't know if there's anything I would change in that song if I ever tried to recreate it myself. Like it's kind of just perfect. The way the solos play off of each other, it's really just like solo 1 immediately followed by solo 2, but the way they break them up is really clever.
That was another note that I remember writing down. I actually haven't like looked at my notes. I'm just, but like in that song, because it starts with a guitar solo and it just so seamlessly morphs into the synth solo.
Yeah,
you almost don't notice it happening. It's just this whole spacey warbling section that's just filled with these eerie but beautiful melodies, and it's crazy. It's you said it's perfectly progressive. It's so good. That was my favorite song on the album for a long time, and it might still be. It's hard to choose, but that's something that I don't know if I could change. Like as a song on its own, 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
absolutely 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
all the little layers too, like the whispering in the back at the ending too, and just like the weird little bits and pieces of sound that they throw in that aren't necessarily musical, but help to reinforce and bolster the actual theme of the song.
Yeah. There's a lot of songs in that record I wouldn't change a lot about. Like to me, there's a lot of like 8s and 9s on that record in terms of like just song strength. Yeah, there's South of Reality is like the title track is personally my favorite. It used to be Amethyst Realm for me as well. I don't know what changed, but yeah, that's kind of it though. That's why it stands out. Like I don't know if there's anything else I can add to it. I've kind of, I think, said everything nearly I have to say about this band. Like it's, I'm sure we could get into the nitty gritty of like every single song, but
we're gonna come back to this band at some point. It's been
it'll be a fourth record. Yeah, it's
it'll be a fourth record. Yeah,
hopefully not a fucking concept.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to check my notes actually now and see if there is anything that we didn't touch on. Yeah, I guess, well, I mean, just going back to the eeriness, I think one of the things I mentioned here or wrote down was in Monolith of Phobos. The opening track, the title track, the lyrics don't start until, a minute and a half or 2 minutes or something?
It perfectly sets the tone of the record.
It really sets the tone. And it, not just of the record, but the whole band. I mentioned to you that I was listening to their latest album as I was on my way here. And my journey was just a bit longer than the whole album, so I put on their EP, Lime and Limpid Green, afterwards. Because I haven't listened to that in a long time, but I figured I want to listen to that before doing this as well. And I only realized it then, but they put that out after their Monolith of Phobos.
Yep.
I always just assumed that it was before because you'd put out an EP before your full album. But the fact that Monolith of Phobos is the first official release by the band and having that full just minute and a half or whatever it is of just weird, uneasy, just like it's the soundscape is so well done.
But they do it again in South of Reality. Little Fishes is the perfect
True,
intro.
yeah.
Like the way that opens up.
The little chimes.
Exactly. It's like, oh, this is gonna be fun and goofy.
Yeah.
Like that's what this record is about to be. And they nail it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really call Prologue that, just because of the type of intro it is. I don't think it fits the exact same role. I think What a Predicament does a better job of setting the overall tone for the record.
And also, looking at that too, is that song, I think that was an excellent choice for the leading single.
100%.
I didn't listen to it when it was a single, as we've talked about. Like, I often don't listen to a single when the album is forthcoming, and it's if I have a particular veneration for that band and I want to listen to it in full on first listen without any spoilers, so to speak.
Yep.
But I think looking back at that was absolutely the perfect song to have as the lead single, because it does what an intro in theory should do.
Yep. I listened to What a Predicament after I found out it was going to be the leading song essentially on the record. So probably 2 weeks before the record came out, I listened to What a Predicament as a all right, let's see what we're getting into.
Yeah.
And I think it does a good job of saying what's going to happen in the record. I'm not going to get into obviously again the record, but no, I agree though. Monolith of Phobos is a beautiful way to kick off the band. It's creepy. It's intriguing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think, let's see here. Yeah, I guess another thing, we've referenced PPC a lot back and forth with this, and I realized that in thinking a lot about CLD and taking notes on what stands out to me some of the most within all of their albums, to draw another comparison with PPC is the lyrics being a lot of the time super blunt and direct. That's something that I'm pretty sure I've mentioned on the podcast before with PPC's lyrics, is that it's so rare for an artist to be able to do that in a way that still really hits home and resonates and just doesn't feel hokey or doesn't have that first draft feel.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of the times lyrics can have a very first draft feel. I mean, a lot of the times anything can have a first draft feel. And that's also not to say that everything needs to be revised all the time, that there's a lot of elements within any music, any components of any music that are a first draft in theory or in whatever way, and are perfectly suited to remain as they are. Things that don't need to be revised. That happens a lot of the time when someone comes up with something that doesn't need to be changed. But I think lyrics are particularly susceptible to that, especially when they're blunt or direct or just not kind of, they're not coded in any way.
Yeah.
And yeah, an example of that is in Boomerang Baby. What is the one here? Yeah, true love is something that your grandmother was fooled into believing. Is a line that really well captures what is, I think, a large portion of the spirit of this song, which is the overshoot of the disillusionment of youth. No, that's like, again, it's like a lot of the themes of not just the album, but the whole project is just the absurdity and the weirdness and the just screwed up nature of the way things are going culturally. And yeah, the overshoot really is what that is, I think. But again, that's something that, like, that line is, it's just so direct, and it doesn't feel hokey to me. It doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't feel like it could be reworded in any way. It's just, it really hits, you know? A lot of the song, or a lot of the lines on that song are like that.
A lot of the songs a lot of the lines in their discography Easily
Oh,
charmed
yeah.
by fools.
Yeah.
They vote to the right so they can pack their pistols.
Yeah, like,
That's so overt. Like,
yeah,
maybe the most overt political commentary I've ever heard in music.
yeah,
To
seriously.
the point where it's kind of insane that you would actually put that in a song.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
it's wild.
thinking when they performed that live, I'm like, oh man, I would not sing that line live.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
I know, right?
crazy.
Like, holy, that's bold. That
yeah, it is.
bold.
It is. Yeah.
It's I mean, and I think just going further on this whole line here, I think it's especially impressive how they do that lyrically in a way, at least to me, where it doesn't feel first draft or hokey or whatever, in retrospect, because they do that so much throughout all their discography, and it's always really well done. But the only time that I've felt that it has been a bit too blunt and like, come on, like you could have revised this or made it better, is there's a line on Meat Machines that's like something about if you question their beliefs or assumptions, they'll destroy you. And it's like, okay, I know what, like, yeah, but come on, like, let's do it a little bit differently.
This is exactly the feeling I had here with the whole record. Like, you kind of are portraying it really well, where it's like, yeah, I get it. Like,
yeah, it's like you've done what you're doing now before a lot, and you've always done it well, and it's never felt like you're overdoing it or overselling it, but now it does in this one bit.
yeah.
Just a funny thing. And yeah, anyway, I mentioned the reference to PPC there, but that's, yeah, like, I think Tripolosaur, if you pronounce it that way.
Tripolosaur or Tripolosaur, whatever.
Yeah, it's like a third or fourth track on Shiga. Like that one as well. Or Marmalade March is another good example of a song that's just very... Like, it's not even like he was writing lyrics. He's just writing about his life.
Yeah, it's something... It was like a Friday night when he got home, he wrote that down. It's like, I guess I could repurpose this into lyrics.
Yeah, yeah.
And honestly, it's the first draft comment is funny because I think it actually, like, with PPC, I actually do feel like a lot of their lyrics are first draft, but it works for them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, again, like, I've listened to a lot of interviews with Jack, and I know he does revise lyrics, but for them, it just kind of works with that first drafty feel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. This whole podcast feels like the next band we have to do this for is just PPC.
Yeah,
which is a gargantuan one because that's like 8 albums now. Like that's
yeah, we're gonna have to like separate that. We'll do one episode on the High Visceral albums, and then honestly, you could probably
split it into eras. Like you could probably do High Visceral to Shiga, which is or High Visceral to Night Gnomes.
That's I would go earlier than that. I would go High Visceral 1 and 2, and then no, actually, I would just do High Visceral 1 and 2, and then I would do whatchamacallit through probably Night Gnomes
and then Franzoli onwards.
onwards.
Yeah, that's actually a great way to split up a 3-part podcast. Yeah, that makes sense though.
But that's probably how I would split it up in the way that like I always think about splitting up eras of like the Beatles. You know, when you talk about middle era Beatles or late era Beatles, you know exactly what someone's talking about. Yeah. You know exactly which albums are encompassed or like in not encompassed, but which are within those confines.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's maybe a couple more notes in there, but I think we've gone over everything. This has been awesome.
It's been a good one. Probably one of our like most. I don't know. This has been a good episode. It's been good.
Excellent. That'll wrap it up.
Actually, no. Before we go, top 3 songs by CLD
of their whole discography.
Yeah, whole discography.
Oh man. Okay. Okay, recency bias is tough here because my first thought is somewhere in the top 3 is Melody of Entropy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know in order, but I would say that one. Let me look through their discography here. Probably, I really like Cricket Chronicles part. What is it, 2 or 3? That's on South of Reality.
3.
Yeah, part 3.
The one that's more like.
It has the tabla in it.
Yeah.
And it's got like.
It's
like a lot of the half steps with that little flicker on the bass. It's like.
Don't concern yourself.
Yeah. That's probably another one. And then, oh man, I don't know. That's tough for the whole discography. Maybe I can't choose between Blood and Rockets and Easily Charmed by Fool, or I mean Amethyst Realm. Let's see here. Honestly, I don't know if any of the tracks off Monolith of Phobos would crack my top 3 for their discography.
Probably just outside. Probably sitting in like 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
We'll have to, now you can prepare for the next time we do one of these, but we should probably prepare like a top 5 just so we can.
Yeah, songs of their discography, yeah. What about you?
South of Reality is number 1, for sure.
Wow.
I think Cricket Chronicles 1 would probably be right after it. I wish that song was longer because I love it. I also just, I think The Genie is such a brilliant analogy.
Yeah.
It's so clever.
It's amazing.
One of my favorite analogies ever in music. It's just so much fun.
Give
I also
that bottle
love
a rub.
yeah,
So good.
it's awesome, and the progression of that song, like lyrically, is awesome. Where like you're telling this, it's a story of someone who's been addicted to pills their whole life.
Yeah,
like it's really well done because it's only like a 3-minute song or something like that, but it's concise. Sound design's great. And then third, probably Easily Charmed by Fools, but honestly Heart of Chrome does get really close. So even though I have this whole opinion, I really like Heart of Chrome.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, until next time. Perhaps a PPC episode.
Probably. This feels like a much better way to do this podcast. Is like there's something about it that feels more guided,
put together.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, this is some fucking cool music that came out.
This band that has 5 listeners. That yeah.
Oh yeah. Anyway, it's a wrap.